Hey, this is Nicole Kelly, host of Disarming Disability. Thanks for listening to the following show on Public House Media.
This is Jenna Burt, host of the Confessions of a Military Spouse podcast here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Confessions of a Military Spouse, where we dig deep and talk about the unspoken hard truths of what it's really like to be a military spouse. A new show comes out bi-weekly. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of Confessions of a Military Spouse. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Hello everyone, it is No Filter Friday yet again on Public House Media, and I'm sitting here with my LaCroix, my purple wall robe, and a different microphone. We're going to see if this works out this week, because last week the show was a technical nightmare because Facebook, I think, just screwed us over basically. I have not had a really good Facebook Live experience since before they did some update a couple months ago, and now it's just a problem. So I'm going to take a second and share the show. Hopefully this won't black out on me again. Okay, so last week when I clicked over to share the show, the screen where I can watch all of you enter and exit and comment and blah, 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 that went black on me, but the live was still going. And then this week, after that happened, I tried sharing it to my page, but it just kept sharing it to the Public House Media page. It's absolute disaster. And then on top of that, the sound wasn't working, and I still can't figure out why it wasn't working correctly, because I use those headphones all the time, and I checked them again, and I checked my computer, and I checked everything, and they work just fine now. So I don't know what the problem is. David, how does it sound? Does it sound okay with the other mic, with this mic? I pray to God that it does, because that was the worst last week. The worst. I can't stand it. So after that monstrous ordeal, I ended up just re-recording it completely, and the podcast version of the show was perfectly fine. You would have no idea that it was different. Let's see if this is gonna work. Oh, good. Okay, wonderful. We have been given the go-ahead by David Bobke. Oh, thank God for this man. He just he puts up with me. when he doesn't have to. Facebook, you're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. It's shared and it's working. It's shared to my page, my personal Facebook page. I certainly hope, because last week it wouldn't do that either. It would just share to the Public House Media page, which is useless. That doesn't do anything for anybody. That shouldn't even be an option on Facebook. But anyway, 'tis a new week, so hopefully we can get this together. So what had happened is 2 days ago, the story went public from Common. Do you guys know who Common is? Everybody says the rapper Common, and he is a rapper for sure, but I think he acts more than he... Oh, hello, Mary. Thanks for coming by. I think these days, I think Common acts just as much, if not more, than he raps, and he's great at both. If you haven't seen Hell on Wheels on AMC, watch it. It's bingeable on Netflix. Share to Public House Media. That's not where I wanted to share to. It's not at all. It's not even kind of where I wanted to share to. Oh, so annoying. So annoying. It drives me crazy. So he came out with a memoir called Let Love Have the Last Word, and it's okay. So hopefully it'll work now. I hope. On a page you manage. Nope. Let's share to my timeline. Meow? Maybe this work? I don't know. Please, I'm having sharing difficulties. If you guys could share as well, that would be tremendous. So anyway, he comes out with this memoir, and 2 days ago, he leaves this, like, it goes public that he was molested as a child. He left this little #MeToo Easter egg in there, where he was going over a script with Laura Dern, who's amazing and wonderful, and she's such a supportive lady. Like, I can't think of another person that would be as good for this moment in Common's life, basically, where they're going over notes of, no, they're going over a script and they're giving each other like notes, I guess, on how they were going to get through the scene. And this scene was Laura Dern's character like talking about being molested as a child and like the memories coming up. And as they were in the midst of this, David Bobby sharing is caring. It is. In the midst of this, he was like, I'm having a lot of memories right now, and I'm pretty sure I was molested as a child. And she was like, okay. And he said that when he was 9 or 10, that he was visiting his grandma's house in Cleveland, and a family friend of theirs named Brandon started touching him and performed on him. So I'm assuming he meant that this guy Brandon performed oral sex on his Common's 9 or 10-year-old self. And then the guy like begged him to reciprocate, and he didn't want to, and like ran away. But like, I guess Common has basically like suppressed the memories, like, until he was going over the script with Laura Dern. So then the story broke this week because people started reading his memoir, and they're like, whoa, Common was molested. Did you know that? Nope, I didn't know that. So then it became like a news story. So then he talked about it on Twitter about how he felt like as a Black man that, you know, they don't really talk about sexual abuse or being molested as children or any of that like they could. That's the quote that he gave. And he said that he wanted to tell his story in hopes that it would help in that, like, there's nothing to be ashamed of, and that, you know, he wants other people to feel like they have the space to talk about what happened to them when they were a kid, which is a really, really wonderful thing, especially now that, like, Terry Crews kind of, like, you know, broke down the barriers of, like, industry, like, adult sexual assault related situations. Now Common's like, well, let's talk about you know, child abuse, that, you know, when kids get molested, because we've talked about that, you know, kids that are in the industry. I felt like even on the show, like, I've talked about that ad nauseum, because it happens all the time in this disgusting, vile pit of vipers and traffic of a town. So it's a new frontier for that. But if you don't have Twitter, get Twitter and go look at that entire feed coming off of Common's tweet. And it's really, really, really awesome. And everyone's sharing it and talking about it and doing all this wonderful, lovely stuff in the wake of it. And I think it's cool. Like, he set out with a goal, and he's not only accomplishing it, but he's like helping, you know, it's helping other people. And that's why. Because, again, another thing that we have talked at ad nauseum on this show is that 1 in 6 boys is molested before they turn 18. And they have, like, girls have very, 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 very few resources when it comes to coming forward with their story or seeking justice or even any sort of, like, healing. Very, very limited resources. Boys have next to nothing. And it's, although more teachers have been going to jail for having sex with their underage students, but that's a relatively new situation. So yay, Common. It's a terrible story to have to tell, but he did it beautifully, and that's really the best that can come from it, honestly. But the moral of Common's story, though, basically, I think the underlying thing that wasn't said and needs to be, is that you can't trust anyone around kids. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if they're your relative, if they're not your relative. You need to watch everybody, and you not only need to watch your own kids, you got to watch other people's kids too, because other people are slacking. So make sure that anytime you see anybody, keep your eyes peeled. Mean mug if you have to. Be nosy, because it is better to be wrong and have to apologize than it is to not say anything and fail a child, or anyone for that matter. So keep your eyes peeled. Watch everything and everybody, and don't let anything slide, because you will regret it. And if you don't, God help you. Oh, hello, my Enriquez. Thanks for coming by the show. So the other big piece of news that happened this week. So like a year ago, I did a show about Eliza Dushku coming out and winning a settlement against the lead actor, Michael Weatherly, on this show called The Bull on CBS. And then I did another show after that, or maybe before that, but it was around the same time, of then head of CBS, Les Moonves, being ousted from CBS because apparently several female employees had complained that he was sexually harassing them repeatedly, and the company wasn't doing anything about it. Well, they finally did something about it. Cut to this week, from a year later, like, I didn't think we were really going to see anything else from Eliza Dushku unless she was, going to a march or a rally or giving a speech or blah, 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 blah. And I certainly didn't think we were going to be hearing anything from Les Moonves. Oh, how young and impressionable and naive I am. So what had happened was the show, The Bull, on CBS came up for renewal. And CBS renewed it for another season, which most of the time we say, yay, 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 rah, 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 awesome, 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 awesome. Well, Steven Spielberg did not agree with the awesomeness of that renewal, and he basically was like, CBS, you and I find sexual harassment and poor workplace conduct to be completely different situations, and Steven Spielberg and another producer walked from the show. They're no longer producing on it for the upcoming season of The Bull. And I've never seen this show. I didn't know that it was that big of a show. And then I looked into it, and then it turns out it's like kind of not that big of a show. Like, they're just keeping it going for the sake of keeping it going. And they paid Eliza Dushku a multi-million-dollar settlement for this situation that she had with Michael Weatherly, and they're renewing the show. And word on the street is that they've been trying to like prop it up with P&A, which is weird because I never see any P&A for it, but apparently they're advertising for it pretty heavily, and it hasn't boosted their ratings, which makes me wonder, kids. It makes me wonder. I'm not totally like, and it's like season number 7 or something. Like, I mean, maybe they're trying to get to like 100 episodes so they can syndicate. I'm not sure. And furthermore, like, do we even abide by syndication, like 100 episode syndication rules anymore? Because like, the streaming platforms will pay for shows that don't have 100 episodes. Like, they just have 3 seasons or 4 seasons or 2 seasons or 1 season, a pilot. Like, I don't think we're really playing by those rules anymore, but maybe we are. Maybe the major networks are. I don't know. I don't watch enough TV to know the answers to this. I can't tell you the last time I even touched my television. I dusted it like a month ago, but like pushing the button and like turning it on, couldn't tell you the last time I did that. So not super, super up on that. But the fact that Spielberg walked from a show, and the man makes boatloads of money. For example, most of the rides at Universal are based on Spielberg movies, and he makes like a ticket commission. So just from his, just from the park the daily tickets bought for Universal Studios parks, he makes about $40,000 a day just from that. So he can walk or stroll or trot, stride, sashay to or from any show he pleases. Like, it doesn't matter. But, and it's hard to say, like, especially like that now that we're so deep into cancel culture, but I'm not saying that show should have been canceled because Michael Weatherly's doing whatever and they had to pay a settlement out of. Because it's not just about him. Like, there's dozens, if not hundreds of people that work on that show, and that's what puts food on their tables, and that's like not a joke. Like, when anytime any show gets canceled, it's sad from a business perspective because now all those people are out of a job, and it sucks, and they're going to have to go be on unemployment for a while or go find something else or, you know, day play or do whatever it is they have to do to like keep their situation going. So it's better to be on a steady gig and, you know, plan your hiatuses and blah, 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 blah. So I'm not saying that it should be canceled, but the fact that Spielberg and this other producer were like, we're taking our toys and going home, is like a pretty severe play because like, it's not like Spielberg's on set every day with this guy. It's not like he has to, you know, look at his face. Steven Spielberg doesn't have to do anything that he doesn't want to do. Like, literally nothing. So it's just kind of an interesting story, but like the fact that like Spielberg I think it'll set a precedent for like other producers and other directors and probably other writers too, of like, oh, we're going to keep this charade going? Psh, not with me. No thanks. Bye. And they just, you know, traipse on out of there. Just to make a show of it. Just to be like, nope, not my jam, not on my watch, no thanks, no way, no how. So that's an interesting new thing. But to my knowledge, Eliza Dushku hasn't said anything about it. Surely Michael Weatherly's not going to say anything about it because that is embarrassing. But we'll see how this goes. We'll see if maybe this will be, you know, because like everybody wants to be Spielberg, right? Maybe this will set off a trend of people ditching shows. Ditching their renewals. I mean, Constance Wu stepped in it today. They announced the renewal of like season 6 of Fresh Off the Boat, and she was like, on Twitter, she was like losing her mind, and she was like, no, I didn't mean it like that. I just swear a lot. That's just how I talk. Like, carry on, it's fine. So, man, what a rough time for renewals. It's supposed to be like, yay, that person show made it. They're coming back. They're coming back. Not this time, folks. Not this time. May Sweeps is like a whole new thing these days. A whole new thing. I mean, you know, whatever. It's cool. But so that was this week's Me Too news. Ran around and partied a little tiny bit, just this much, just this teeny tiny much. So we went to the premiere of Tolkien the other day, with Nicholas Hoult and Lily Collins, and you guys are gonna kill me for blanking on his name. What's his name? George R.R. something, the guy that writes Game of Thrones, who's a lovely, lovely man, and I shouldn't be blanking on his name, but he moderated a Q&A after the premiere, and he was adorable. He looks like an old sea captain, and he's so nice to everyone, and he went all the way down the carpet and like talked to every press outlet and talked to fans. Oh, so sweet and so adorable. And it was funsies. It's a really interesting movie. Like, Nicholas Holt's a really nice guy. A really, really sweet, nice guy. He's got a weird face on him. He's got a strange face, that Nicholas Hoult. But I had a completely different perception of what that movie is. It's like kind of like a narrative biopic on J.R.R. Tolkien, the author. So it's like really, really fantasy heavy, but it's about his life, and it's a far more somber film than I thought it was going to be. But oh my god, the cinematography will blow. The effects, and the sound design, mind blowing. so good. Like, if you're missing, yes, George R.R. Martin. Thank you, David Bobke. That's his name. The guy that writes Game of Thrones, his name is George R.R. Martin. Yes, adorable old. He looks like the guy on the fish sticks box. That's what he looks like. If you put him in yellow, he would look like he was out here fishing for cod, basically. He's adorable. Anyway, but it's a gorgeous movie. And if you're even if you're not into fantasy, like, I'm not a big like fantasy novel reader, but just his life is really, really, really interesting. And we'll see. I mean, it's Friday. We got 2 more days left of this week. Mother's Day is going to be on Sunday. And then next week, who knows what kind of crazy we'll get into. It's the wild, wild west out here. We don't know. Anything could happen. I could wake up one morning, another person will be dead, or someone will, have decided to ditch a show in its 7th season, It's crazy. It's wild around here. So I will see you all next week for another splendid episode of No Filter Friday, and it will be fun. Check out other shows on Public House Media. There's some new ones. There's some more sports shows coming down the pipeline. If that's your jam, it's obviously not my jam, but it could be your jam. It's most people's jams. And more of our CJ and Cell, Disarming Disability. There's fun shows. Choose to Rise, all these like uplifting, upbeat shows. Nothing like this hot mess over here. So I will see you all next week back on Public House Media for another No Filter Friday, and we'll talk about whatever crazy comes up next week with these Looney Tunes that I, live and work with. So I will see you later, kids. Bye, 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 bye.